And let's keep the basketball topic rolling with BYU men's basketball assistant coach Kahil Fennell, who is back in Studio B. Coach, we mentioned it before the break. You've had a very, very busy last few months. You've been hitting the transfer portal hard. You've made 3 key additions. How would you explain the last 2 months of your life as an assistant coach working in the transfer portal life as currently constituted?
It's a lot. I think you said it really well. It's been a hectic few weeks here. We got a little bit of a late start, but once we did, we really had to dive into it with 2 feet and make the biggest splash that we could, right? So I'm really, really excited about these 3 guys we have bringing in. You mentioned them earlier, Ali Khalifa, Dawson Baker, and Quez Glover. I mean, they're really talented. They increase our talent level as a team, and individually, I think there's some maturity there. There's some mental toughness there. I think they're going to add a lot to our group really across the board, so I'm really excited about them.
Those 3 each bring something that no individual had on the previous team, which is a nice addition. Like, okay, Ali Khalifa is a big who can really pass and shoot it. That was unique, right? Dawson Baker, a guy who wants the ball at the end of the shot clock, gets to the free throw line. That was more unique as well. And then Quez Glover, a guy who really quick off the dribble. Was that a specific thing you wanted, or like, okay, we need certain skill sets, or was like, we see this guy, he's interested, and we can fit him into what we do?
No, I think it's more of the former, right? I think Quez Glover was a perfect example. I mean, we really need somebody that can get to spots on the floor and create offense, manufacture shots for himself, manufacture shots for his teammates at that Big 12 level. He can get by people. You mentioned he's really, really quick. He can get by people, get to spots on the floor. He doesn't need a ton of action to free himself, and that's huge, whether it's end of shot clock, whether that's early offense and transition. Guys like that can manufacture offense on their own is super, super valuable, especially in the Big 12. Dawson Baker is an experienced guy. He's won a lot of games at UC Irvine. He's been really well coached by Russell Turner down there. And he just has this mental toughness and kind of innate self-confidence that really permeates every level of his game, right? Like taking tough shots, guarding good players, being physical and taking care of the basketball. Like those kind of things are a little bit different from what we have. And he blends some of the skill sets of a few of our guys, which we're really excited about. And then Ali Khalifa, like you mentioned, there's not a lot of guys like him in the country, truly.
He's unique.
Yeah, he is. It's not just our roster where he's unique. So somebody that big, that's that skilled, that can pass the basketball and make shots is a pretty cool thing. So we're fired up about those guys.
Coach, let's stay with the point guard position specifically. And you talked about how Quez can manipulate a defense and how valuable he will be on the floor, and not just creating shots for himself, but creating shots for others. But I have had a few people ask me, well, what does this mean for a guy like Dallin Hall, who was such an integral part of what BYU did last year and kind of burst onto the scene as a freshman? So how do you envision Quez and Dallin working together in the backcourt?
Well, I think a cool thing about Quez being so different from everybody, it allows him to play with different people, right? It's not like you have to pigeonhole him with one partner in the backcourt. And as you've seen with Coach Pope in the past, whether it's Barcelo and T-John Lucas, he can play with 2 quasi-point guards. So we're not afraid of that at all. Those guys are very, very different. Dallin's a big, strong, physical guard. Quez is more of a jet, and I think the opportunity for them to play together is very real. So, but just like anything, I think the best guys are going to play, the best combinations are going to play, and whatever that looks like. If Quez is the guy to get us going offensively and to be the director of what we're doing on that end of the floor, then that's great. And if Dallin's that guy, then that's great too. But those guys have to earn their minutes, and they have to either show that they can blend together or show that they can dominate that position on their own. So all that remains to be seen.
With Tanner Toolson in the portal, looks like you're 213 scholarships. 10 of those guys are backcourt players. Is 3 bigs enough to walk into the season with?
I heard you guys talking about it earlier, so I guess I'll wade into this argument. I think it depends, right? I think it depends on how you view certain guys. Like Jackson Robinson's played a lot of 4 for us. He's so long, he's athletic, he's adding good weight. Noah Waterman ultimately is 6'11", right? So
yes.
I always say treat him like a 6'8" guy, though, in terms of how you sort of see his game.
No, that's fair. I think that's fair, and I think.
But you're okay with kind of a stretch 4 situation as the sort of second power forward in those combinations.
Yeah, I think both those guys fill that role, that stretch 4 of guys that can create some mismatches at that position. And then Noah has added some good weight as well. I think you're going to see a different body and a different frame on him this season, which is exciting. And that's going to allow him to play maybe some 4 and 5, which is great. But then, with the versatility of Foose, with the defensive versatility of Atiki, I think we're looking at 3 guys that are quote unquote bigs, but I think they've changed their games a little bit, and I think they've added some different facets of what they can provide, where it makes them a little bit more versatile. So that allows you to spread those pieces out a little bit more.
Gotcha. And you can create different mismatches, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
That second year.
At this point, what is your approach with the remaining time in the transfer portal now that you are at 13 scholarship players for 13 positions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the transfer portal is so fluid and it's so dynamic and it's so ever-changing where it's hard to say, the price tomorrow isn't the price today, right? I mean, things could be completely different by the end of this afternoon. So as the roster changes, as the portal changes, and we look for different things, it's hard to pin down exactly this is what we're going to have when it comes time in November, right? So I think our eyes are wide open. We're very much interested in some pieces that could help us and be impactful for us in the Big 12 and help us win games. But we also really like our group now. So we're going to kind of play it as it comes and see how that works out.
Certainly entering the Big 12, there's some different kind of rules and regulations relative to sort of the commitment to a player. Before it was like year to year. This is like, well, the Big 12 says you basically owe them a scholarship till they're done with their eligibility at that school. So have all those conversations about guys who maybe don't fit in as much as previously. Have those conversations been had already if those guys want to jump in the portal? Because it closes tomorrow?
Yeah, yes and no. I think we're fortunate here at BYU. Like, we don't have a lot of knuckleheads. We don't bring in a lot of guys that don't fit our culture or don't fit our program or don't fit what this university is about. So we're fortunate to have guys that, once they're here, they feel really comfortable in this environment and vice versa. So honoring that commitment if they go elsewhere is a pretty easy thing to do. But, as you've seen, like, we haven't had a ton of turnover, and we've been fortunate to see that, and hopefully that continues.
Kahil Fennell is on BYU Sports Nation, assistant basketball coach. Jeremy and I were discussing yesterday just about how mature and old this team is.
It's an experienced group.
Majority upperclassmen and deep with experience, coach. So is it fair to say that you feel comfortable going 10 or 11 deep on a regular basis when the season begins?
That's hard. I mean, Coach Pope makes those decisions, and I'm glad he is the guy to do that sometimes. But we'll see. I think, like I said, all those things remain to be seen and have to be fleshed out and earned on the floor and earned in practice. So I think the guys that can help us win will play. I do think that there's a limit to that as far as rotations and how we play and how many people get involved. And it's going to be a war. Like those guys that want to be in that top 8, that top 9, I mean, they have to show it, and they have to show it every day. There's a consistency level to it, which is going to be paramount. Like, you can't just be a really good player on Wednesday and not show up Thursday and Friday. I mean, you have to be that guy every day in practice and every day off the floor and in the weight room and doing the right things in study hall. And the guys that do that consistently are going to be the guys that play. So I'm not a massive fan of a rotation of 11 guys, but if that's what's best for us, I think that's what's going to happen.
Listen, watching Mark Pope at Kentucky, it was like they'd roll that second 5 and they'd press. It's not that situation here, but they went like 10 deep, right, with Patino, which was crazy. There are kind of 8 wings on this team. What's that competition going to be like for playing time? Because there's a lot of talent and experience and different skills among those 8.
It's funny you said it. So it's very similar to the big man group, right? Where it's like it depends on how you view them, and it depends on the matches, and it depends on the combinations. Where we've had conversations in our meeting rooms where it's like, we need a wing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it really depends on how you view those guys and what kind of role you fit them into. So for us, I think every position, the competition is going to be massive, right? Whether it's guards with Dallin and Quez and Dawson and Trey Stewart and whoever else wants to throw their hat in the ring, but it's the bigs, it's the wings, like you said. I think every spot on the floor is going to be really, really hard-earned minutes, and I think that speaks to how talented this group is. I think that's a great problem to have. I truly do. There's going to be some upset guys later, and I think there's going to be some guys that are frustrated with their lack of playing time and their lack of perceived opportunity and things like that. But unfortunately, that's a part of having a talented team. That's a part of having a deep team. And I think that's something that we can all expect and get ready for.
Is there a sort of willingness, perhaps, and maybe you have a sense of this, maybe not, of a guy who may be a little more buried on the bench, but hey, it's a Big 12 team now. There may be more attrition, who knows, versus maybe previous rosters or instances?
I think
because it's a different situation now.
It is. No, it absolutely is. And I think there's a possibility for that for sure. I mean, like, it's a grind. Like, that Big 12 season is an absolute bear. I mean, there's a real scenario where you can go, to Texas Tech, and have Kansas at home. 3 games in a row. You know, and that's really, really hard.
We're excited to see it whenever we get it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, from the fans' perspective, from the media's perspective, it's awesome for us in preparation and players.
You're sweating.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it'll be different days too, because like this schedule won't be the Thursday, Saturday.
Exactly.
Thing, right? There may be some Mondays in there.
And I think that's something our fan base and you guys and everybody has to get used to. You know, at Louisville, we would have a game on Monday, and you'd have big Mondays and all this kind of stuff, and then turn around and play on Wednesday and Thursday, and it's crazy. It's all, you know, married to the TV schedule. So I think for us and for our roster, yeah, I think there's a possibility for that. But I think, you know, the season's the season. I don't want to act like the Big 12 is, you know, the Eastern Conference in 1995. Like we're there, right? Like we have to be in it to win.
Gundy's hanging on somebody's leg.
Exactly, exactly. Like we have to, you know, enter it with the mindset of competing for championships and be in it to win it. So I don't want us to feel like, gosh, whatever we can do to survive. Like that just can't be our attitude going into this thing to be successful.
Name, image, likeness is a phrase that you're probably sick and tired of hearing, NIL, but it is here to stay for sure. And we've seen BYU football utilize it to almost entice redshirt guys or non-scholarship guys to, hey, stick around. We'll give you a little bit. You could potentially earn a scholarship moving forward. Is that a possibility for basketball when you are in a scholarship crunch to say, hey, we want you right now. We're developing you. We can't give you a scholarship, but maybe NIL plays into that? Is that how that works for basketball like it does for football?
I think it can. I don't think it's as widespread in basketball as it is in football. But, you know, with 13 scholarships available, I mean, and to your point, a rotation of 9 or 10, I mean, there's only so much that can go around, right? And NIL, to your point, is very much a part of the vernacular now in college basketball, and it is what it is. And I think it's the programs and the coaches and the staffs that make it a priority, that make it work for them. They're going to have some long-term sustainable success, and I think it's the ones that fight it and just kind of, you know, stomp their feet and say, get off my lawn and all that kind of stuff. Like those are the guys that are either going to get out of the business or going to be really, really frustrated and not have success. So if we can make it work for ourselves in any arena, whether that's recruiting new prospects, whether that's retaining our current roster, all those things are going to be something we're going to explore and try to maximize.
I assume the league will be the announcer of the league schedule, but the non-conference, will that be announced by BYU whenever it's ready?
I'm so bad with this stuff. I'm sure it will be. I have no idea. Yes. I'm getting a thumbs up in the back. Yes.
Do we have a sense of when that might be this summer? Like in a month or two?
I have no idea.
Ask Mark Pope?
Yeah.
Ask Nick Robinson?
Yes, Nick Robinson, my man.
The scheduler?
Like, I have no idea what the schedule. We show up, they tell me who my scout is, and we get a award. I don't know anything else.
Hey, Nick Robinson, we're excited. We want the schedule, bro.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We want the schedule.
Hey, we probably buried the lead here as we finish up, Coach, but on a scale of 0 to -1 million, how much do you care about what we think about bracketology in May?
I love it.
Do you love it? Do you like bracketology in May? Like BYU getting mentioned by Lenardi?
I don't at all. It means nothing to me. But I love that it's being talked about. I think it's like the NFL.
It's fun.
The NFL is a total racket, right? Like they've created this thing where it's like,
the schedule's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, everything's a story.
Yes.
And pre-drafts and the combine, like everything, they dominate the news cycle every time.
Yes.
So if we can get BYU basketball in your guys' conversations because of bracketology,
listen, today's a basketball show.
Today's a basketball day.
On May whatever it is. 10th.
May 10th. Yeah.
I love it.
All right. And you're the highlighted guest. Let's go, man.
B Block, man. B Block's the big guest.
Kahil, great to talk with you. Thanks for the insights.
Likewise. Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate it.